It is an absolute disaster unfolding in Montecito right now, and Meghan Markle is doing something that nobody saw coming. After years of building her California dream, after spending tens of millions on that sprawling estate, after positioning herself as the queen of the Santa Barbara elite, reports are now emerging that the Duchess of Sussex is actively looking to abandon the very community she once claimed to love. The backlash from Netflix, the cold shoulders from neighbors, the whispers that have grown into a deafening roar of criticism, it has all become too much. And folks, when Meghan Markle starts running from a fight, you know the situation has become catastrophic. Sources close to the couple are painting a picture that is nothing short of devastating. One insider put it bluntly, saying the Montecito dream has turned into a Montecito nightmare, and Meghan is desperate to escape. Another source familiar with their situation revealed that the locals have made it abundantly clear that the Sussexes are not welcome, and the constant rejection has taken a serious toll. Let that sink in for a moment. The woman who walked away from the most famous family on the planet, who claimed she could not breathe within the constraints of royal life, is now suffocating in the very paradise she chose for herself. The irony here is absolutely staggering. When Harry and Meghan first touched down in California, they were greeted with the kind of fanfare usually reserved for A-list Hollywood royalty. The celebrity neighbors, the exclusive restaurants, the promise of a new chapter free from British tabloid scrutiny, it all seemed so perfect. Montecito was supposed to be their sanctuary, their haven, their proof that they had made the right choice. Fast forward to today, and that sanctuary has become a prison of their own making. What makes this particularly delicious is the fact that Meghan spent years cultivating this image of herself as the ultimate California girl. The wellness influencer aesthetic, the organic gardening, the chickens rescued from a factory farm, all of it was carefully designed to position her as someone who belonged in this exclusive enclave. But the community saw through the performance. They watched as security teams descended on quiet streets. They endured the constant buzz of helicopters. They witnessed the circus that follows Harry and Meghan wherever they go. Reports suggest that invitations to local events have dried up completely. The dinner parties that once included the Sussexes have quietly removed them from guest lists. Even the famous Montecito coffee shops and boutiques have reportedly become uncomfortable spaces where Meghan feels judged rather than welcomed. One local source described it this way, saying they came here expecting to be treated like celebrities, but this community has actual celebrities who do not create drama everywhere they go. But the neighbor situation is just the tip of a very large iceberg, and what Netflix is reportedly telling Harry and Meghan behind closed doors has sent shockwaves through the entire entertainment industry. The streaming giant that once threw over $100 million at the Sussexes is apparently having some serious second thoughts, and the fallout is nothing short of spectacular. Netflix executives, according to multiple industry insiders, are growing increasingly frustrated with the content Harry and Meghan have delivered versus what they were promised. The documentary that was supposed to be a triumphant telling of their love story turned into a complaints festival that alienated viewers. The subsequent projects have either flopped or stalled in development hell, and the suits in Los Angeles are not known for their patience. One entertainment insider revealed that Netflix is essentially done giving them chances, and the relationship has soured beyond repair. Another source with knowledge of the streaming industry said the numbers do not lie, and Harry and Meghan simply are not delivering the audience Netflix expected for that kind of investment. Allow me to translate this corporate speak for you. Netflix gave them a blank check, and they bounced it. The timing of this Netflix fallout could not be worse for the couple. Their Archewell Productions banner was supposed to be pumping out content that would cement their status as Hollywood power players. Instead, we have seen a cooking show that critics savaged, a polo documentary that nobody asked for, and endless announcements about projects that never seem to materialize. The production slate reads like a graveyard of abandoned ambitions, and Hollywood has noticed. What particularly infuriates Netflix, according to those familiar with the situation, is the gap between what the Sussexes promise and what they deliver. One industry source put it perfectly, saying they sell themselves as these groundbreaking content creators with unique access and compelling stories, but when it comes time to actually produce, they want maximum money for minimum effort. And they are absolutely right. The pattern has become impossible to ignore. Consider the numbers for a moment. Netflix reportedly paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million for this partnership. In return, they have received a documentary series that generated controversy but questionable long-term value, a few projects in various stages of incompletion, and constant headaches from a couple who seem more interested in complaining about their coverage than creating compelling content. For a company that has had to make brutal cuts and cancel beloved shows to save money, watching the Sussexes underperform must be absolutely maddening. The corporate whisper network in Hollywood is brutal, and word travels fast. Sources say that other studios and streaming services have taken note of Netflix's experience and are actively avoiding any association with Archewell Productions. One executive at a competing network allegedly said they would not touch them with a 10-foot pole after seeing how the Netflix deal played out. When your reputation in Hollywood is that damaged, and in that town reputation is everything, the future looks bleak indeed. But the Netflix disaster is only amplifying another crisis that has been brewing for months, and the staff situation at Archewell has reached a point that insiders are calling unprecedented. The exodus from Archewell has become so severe that sources are questioning whether the organization can even continue to function. We are not talking about normal turnover here. We are not talking about people leaving for better opportunities. We are talking about a mass departure of professionals who have apparently decided that no paycheck is worth what they have to endure working for Harry and Meghan. 11 people, 11 experienced professionals who hitched their careers to the Sussex wagon, all gone. The most devastating blow came when James Holt announced his departure. For those unfamiliar with the inner workings of Team Sussex, let me explain why this matters so much. James Holt was not just some replaceable executive. This man was featured prominently in their Netflix documentary. He uprooted his entire family from the United Kingdom to move to California and help build the Sussex empire. He was there from the beginning, through every scandal, every failed project, every public relations nightmare. For him to walk away now speaks volumes about what is happening behind those Montecito gates. Sources who have spoken to former Archewell employees paint a picture that would make any human resources professional shudder. One ex-staffer allegedly described the work environment as chaotic and demoralizing, with constantly shifting priorities and impossible demands. Another former employee reportedly said that Meghan in particular has a management style that leaves people feeling undervalued and disposable. The words toxic workplace have been thrown around more than once. The head of public relations, Meredith Maines, lasted just 7 months before making her escape. 7 months. In the world of public relations, that is not even long enough to establish relationships with media contacts, let alone execute any kind of meaningful strategy. Her rapid departure suggests that whatever she encountered at Archewell was bad enough to abandon ship before even completing a full year. Industry insiders say that kind of quick exit is always a red flag. Let us be brutally honest about what this staff hemorrhaging means for the Sussexes. An organization requires people to function. It requires institutional knowledge, established relationships, ongoing project management, and consistent execution. When you lose your executive director, your head of PR, and multiple other key staffers in rapid succession, you are not restructuring. You are collapsing. Archewell is reportedly now operating with a skeleton crew of just 1 or 2 people, and sources question how any meaningful work can possibly get done. The couple's representatives have tried to spin these departures as part of a strategic shift, a new operating model designed to make Archewell more nimble and effective. But folks, nobody in the business world believes that for a second. You do not lose 11 people in quick succession because you are making smart strategic decisions. You lose 11 people because working for you has become intolerable. But the internal chaos at Archewell is creating ripple effects that extend far beyond their organization. And the Montecito community has been watching this implosion with a mixture of fascination and disdain. The wealthy residents of Montecito are not exactly known for their tolerance of drama, and the constant chaos surrounding the Sussex household has worn their patience down to nothing. These are people who chose this quiet, exclusive community specifically to escape the noise and attention of Los Angeles. They paid premium prices for privacy, for peace, for the ability to go about their lives without paparazzi and helicopters and security incidents. And then Harry and Meghan moved in and brought all of that chaos right to their doorstep. One longtime Montecito resident put it perfectly, telling sources that this community existed perfectly well before they arrived, and many of us wish they would take their circus somewhere else. Another neighbor reportedly said that every time there is a headline about them, every time the photographers show up, every time there is some new drama, it affects all of us, and they are completely justified in feeling this way. The security incidents have been particularly aggravating to locals. There have been multiple reports of prowlers and intruders at the Sussex estate, each one bringing law enforcement and media attention that the community finds disruptive. Neighbors have allegedly complained about the increased traffic, the unfamiliar vehicles casing streets, and the general atmosphere of tension that seems to follow Harry and Meghan wherever they go. This is not what people signed up for when they purchased million-dollar homes in Montecito. What makes this social rejection particularly painful for Meghan, according to those who know her, is that she desperately craves acceptance from exactly this kind of crowd. The Montecito elite represent everything she has always wanted to be: wealthy, influential, respected, and part of an exclusive club. To be frozen out by them, to feel their judgment and disapproval must be absolutely crushing for someone who places such value on status and belonging. Sources say that Meghan has made multiple attempts to ingratiate herself with the local community, only to be met with polite but firm rejection. Invitations to charity events have reportedly gone unanswered. Attempts to join exclusive local clubs have allegedly been quietly discouraged. The message from Montecito has been clear, even if it has been delivered with California politeness. You are not one of us, and we would prefer you leave. The contrast with other celebrities who live in the area is particularly damaging. Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, various movie stars and tech billionaires, they all manage to live in Montecito without generating constant controversy. They maintain their privacy, respect the community norms, and go about their lives without turning every outing into a potential headline. Harry and Meghan, for all their talk of wanting privacy, seem incapable of achieving what their neighbors manage effortlessly. But the local rejection is just one front in a multi-pronged assault on the Sussex brand, and the British public has been watching this California meltdown with something approaching satisfaction. Across the Atlantic, the reaction to Meghan's Montecito struggles has been nothing short of gleeful, and the British press is having a field day documenting every embarrassing detail. Royal commentators who have been critical of the Sussexes for years are now feeling thoroughly vindicated, pointing to this California chaos as proof of everything they warned about. The couple who famously declared they wanted to escape the British tabloids are now generating more negative coverage than ever, and this time they cannot blame the institution they left behind. One British royal expert put it bluntly, saying they made their bed and now they are lying in it, except apparently even their neighbors do not want them in that bed. Another commentator observed that everything the British public said would happen has happened, and there is a certain satisfaction in being proven right. The schadenfreude flowing across the Atlantic is practically palpable. What makes this particularly devastating for the Sussex brand is that they burned their bridges so spectacularly when they left. The Oprah interview, with its bombshell allegations about racism and mental health neglect, permanently damaged their relationship with the royal family and with the British public. They cannot now crawl back and ask for help or refuge. They chose California, they chose Hollywood, they chose to tell their story their way, and now they have to live with the consequences of those choices. The British media has been meticulous in documenting every failure, every setback, every sign that the grand Sussex experiment is collapsing. The staff departures get front-page coverage. The Netflix struggles are analyzed in detail. The neighbor complaints are reported with barely concealed delight. For a couple who claimed they wanted to escape media scrutiny, they have somehow managed to attract more attention than ever, except now almost all of it is negative. Sources close to the royal family say there is no sympathy coming from that quarter either. One insider revealed that the general feeling is that they chose this path and they have to walk it, adding that there will be no rescue mission from London. Another source suggested that King Charles and Prince William are actually relieved that the Sussex drama is playing out thousands of miles away, where it cannot directly embarrass the monarchy. The particularly cutting observation making the rounds in British circles is that Meghan specifically has learned the hard way that American celebrity is fundamentally different from British royalty. In the UK, she had institutional support, staff, security, and a built-in platform. In California, she is just another aspiring celebrity trying to make it in a town that chews people up and spits them out regularly. The protection she complained about in Britain turns out to have been more valuable than she realized. But the British perspective is just one piece of this crumbling puzzle, and the financial pressures mounting on the Sussexes are becoming impossible to ignore. The money situation facing Harry and Meghan is reportedly becoming dire, and the lifestyle they have built requires a constant flow of cash that is simply not materializing. That Montecito mansion cost them somewhere around $14 million, according to reports. The security costs alone are estimated at several million per year. The staff, the travel, the designer wardrobe, the lifestyle befitting their self-appointed status as Hollywood royalty, all of it requires an income that their current ventures are apparently not generating. One financial analyst who has studied the Sussex situation put it this way, saying they have champagne tastes with what is rapidly becoming a beer budget. Another source familiar with their business dealings observed that the Netflix money was never meant to last forever, and they have not built any sustainable income streams to replace it when it runs out. Let that sink in for a moment. The couple who left a lifetime of royal support because they wanted to be financially independent are apparently watching their independence evaporate. The Spotify deal collapse was a particular blow to their financial situation. That partnership, reportedly worth somewhere around $25 million, ended after producing minimal content and maximum controversy. A Spotify executive famously called them grifters, a label that has stuck and damaged their reputation across the entire entertainment industry. When a major corporation is willing to publicly trash you on your way out the door, you know the relationship ended badly. Sources say that new brand partnerships have been difficult to secure because companies are wary of the Sussex baggage. Every endorsement endorsement comes with the risk of controversy, of political backlash, of being dragged into whatever drama Harry and Meghan are generating that particular week. One marketing executive allegedly said the juice simply is not worth the squeeze with those two, adding that there are plenty of celebrities who can deliver eyeballs without the headaches. The particularly damaging aspect of their financial situation is how it affects their ability to maintain the image they have cultivated. Harry and Meghan position themselves as philanthropists, as advocates, as people working to make the world better. But philanthropy requires resources, and if reports about their dwindling finances are accurate, the charitable work they have promised may become impossible to deliver. Archewell Foundation relies on their celebrity to attract donations, and that celebrity is depreciating rapidly. What compounds the problem is their apparent unwillingness to adapt their lifestyle to their current reality. Sources suggest that instead of cutting back, they have continued to spend as if the money would flow forever. The private jets, the high-end fashion, the general aura of luxury they project, none of it has diminished even as their income sources have dried up. Either they have reserves nobody knows about, or they are heading toward a financial cliff, but the financial pressures are pushing them toward a decision that could reshape their entire future. And insiders say Meghan has been researching alternative locations far from the California coast. The search for a new home base has reportedly begun in earnest, and Meghan is apparently looking at options that would represent a complete departure from the Montecito dream. Sources claim she has been researching properties in several states and even looking at international options, anywhere that offers the potential for a fresh start away from the wreckage of their California ambitions. The woman who once positioned herself as the epitome of California sunshine is apparently ready to flee to anywhere that will have her. One source close to the couple revealed that Meghan is particularly interested in locations where they could fade from the spotlight somewhat, places where celebrity culture is less intense and where their every move would not generate headlines. Another insider suggested that Texas has been mentioned, as have several European countries where they believe they might receive a warmer welcome than they currently enjoy in California. The irony of possibly fleeing to Europe after dramatically leaving Europe is apparently lost on them. Harry's feelings about a potential move are reportedly more complicated. He left his entire family, his country, his support system to follow Meghan to California. To now leave California for somewhere else would mean acknowledging that the original decision may have been a mistake. Sources say he is conflicted, torn between his wife's apparent desperation to escape Montecito and his own uncertainty about constantly running from place to place. The real estate implications of a move are significant. That Montecito property represents most of their liquid assets, assuming they even have equity in it given the mortgage situation. To sell it and relocate would be a massive undertaking, and the current real estate market in that price range is not exactly friendly to sellers. They could end up taking a significant loss on a home they spent years customizing to their preferences. What makes this potential relocation particularly telling is what it says about their judgment. They chose Montecito with great fanfare, telling the world it was their forever home, their sanctuary, their place to raise their children in peace. Less than 5 years later, they are apparently ready to abandon it entirely. Either they made a massive mistake in choosing Montecito in the first place, or they have managed to make themselves so unwelcome that they have no choice but to leave. Sources suggest that the children are a significant factor in Meghan's thinking. Archie and Lilibet are reaching ages where social integration becomes important, and apparently the local private school scene has not been welcoming to the Sussex family. One insider claimed that playdates have been difficult to arrange, and that other parents have been reluctant to involve their children with the high-profile Sussex offspring. Whether that is true or simply perception, the result is the same. Meghan feels her children cannot thrive in Montecito, but the potential move has exposed even deeper fractures in the Sussex partnership, and insiders are now questioning whether the marriage itself can survive this extended crisis. The pressure on Harry and Meghan's relationship has reportedly reached critical levels, and sources close to the couple paint a picture of two people struggling to maintain unity in the face of constant setback. The early days of their partnership, the whirlwind romance, the fairy tale wedding, the dramatic exit from royal life, all of it was fueled by shared purpose and mutual support. Now, with their California dream crumbling around them, that unity is being tested like never before. One insider who knows both Harry and Meghan described the dynamic as increasingly strained, with each of them blaming different factors for their current situation. Another source suggested that Harry has started to question some of the decisions they made, particularly the way they handled the departure from royal life and the subsequent media relationships. Whether he is questioning his wife directly or simply processing his own doubts is unclear, but the tension is reportedly palpable. The fundamental issue, according to those familiar with the situation, is that Harry and Meghan wanted very different things from their post-royal life. Harry, by most accounts, simply wanted peace. He wanted to escape the fishbowl of royal existence and raise his family without the constant scrutiny he experienced growing up. Meghan, on the other hand, reportedly wanted to build an empire. She wanted fame, influence, and the platform to advance her own ambitions. Those two goals have proven increasingly incompatible. What makes this relationship analysis particularly relevant is how it affects their professional endeavors. A couple who cannot agree on basic direction cannot effectively run an organization, negotiate deals, or present a unified front to potential partners. Sources say that meetings with Netflix and other partners have sometimes featured visible tension between Harry and Meghan, with disagreements about creative direction and strategic priorities bubbling to the surface. The British press has been particularly focused on Harry's demeanor in recent public appearances, noting that he often looks uncomfortable, uncertain, or simply unhappy. Whether this reflects genuine marital discord or simply the weight of their circumstances is debatable, but the observation has become common enough that it cannot be ignored. The formerly vibrant prince who charmed the world has been replaced by someone who looks lost. Sources close to Harry suggest he misses his family more than he lets on publicly. The rift with Prince William, once his closest confidant, apparently weighs on him heavily. The distance from his father, particularly given King Charles's health challenges, is reportedly a source of significant guilt. And all of this has happened because he followed his wife to California, a wife whose promises about what their life would look like have not materialized. But the relationship speculation is just one element of a larger reckoning that industry insiders say is coming for the Sussexes, and the next few months could determine whether their brand survives at all. The entertainment industry operates on momentum, and the Sussex momentum has not just stalled but reversed entirely. Every failed project, every staff departure, every neighbor complaint adds to a narrative of decline that becomes self-reinforcing. Executives who might have taken meetings a year ago are now reportedly declining. Agents who might have pitched them for opportunities are now steering clients elsewhere. The window that was once wide open is closing rapidly. One veteran Hollywood manager put it this way, saying, "In this town you are only as good as your last success," and they have not had a success in a long time. Another industry insider observed that the problem is not just that their projects have failed, it is that everyone now knows working with them is difficult, adding that reputation damage like that takes years to repair. Allow me to translate from Hollywood speak. Harry and Meghan are becoming industry poison. The particularly devastating aspect of their situation is that they have no fallback position. Most celebrities who flame out in Hollywood have other options. They can return to their previous careers, pivot to other industries, or simply step back and live comfortably on their accumulated wealth. Harry and Meghan have burned their bridges with the institution that provided their original platform, and their accumulated wealth is reportedly not sufficient to maintain their lifestyle indefinitely. Sources say that desperation has started to creep into their decision-making. Projects that they might have rejected a year ago are now being considered. Partnerships that would have seemed beneath them are reportedly being explored. The leverage they once had, the ability to be selective and demand favorable terms, has evaporated along with their commercial appeal. The timeline for their potential rehabilitation is daunting. Even if they manage to produce a genuine hit, even if they find some way to restore their reputation with industry partners, the damage to their brand will take years to fully repair. And in those years, new celebrities will emerge, new content will dominate, and the world will move on without them. The spotlight they craved is shifting elsewhere. What makes this particularly tragic, if you are inclined toward sympathy, is that they had genuine assets to work with. Harry's royal connection gave them unprecedented access to world leaders, celebrities, and global audiences. Meghan's acting background and natural charisma provided on-camera appeal. Together, they had name recognition that most content creators would kill for, and they have squandered all of it through poor decisions, difficult behavior, and an apparent inability to execute on their promises. But perhaps the most damning verdict on the Sussex brand is coming from the very audience they sought to cultivate, and the public reaction to their recent troubles reveals just how far they have fallen. The court of public opinion has rendered its judgment, and the verdict is absolutely brutal for Harry and Meghan. Social media, once a place where they could count on supportive fans to defend them against criticism, has turned increasingly hostile. Comment sections that used to feature heated debates now feature near-unanimous mockery. The squad of dedicated Sussex supporters has shrunk while the army of critics has grown exponentially. One social media analyst who tracks celebrity sentiment described the shift as dramatic, noting that their favorable numbers have collapsed across virtually every demographic. Another observer of online celebrity culture pointed out that they have managed the remarkable feat of uniting critics from across the political spectrum, adding that both conservatives and progressives find reasons to dislike them. When you have alienated everyone simultaneously, you have truly achieved something unprecedented. The American public in particular has grown weary of the Sussex drama. When they first arrived, there was genuine curiosity about these exotic British royals who had chosen America as their home. That curiosity has curdled into annoyance. Americans tolerate celebrity excess, but they expect their celebrities to actually produce entertainment. The constant complaining about how difficult their lives are, combined with the visible luxury of their existence, has struck many observers as tone-deaf at best and offensive at worst. Sources say that the couple's representatives have conducted private polling and focus group research, and the results have been alarming. One insider revealed that the negatives outweigh the positives by a significant margin, and the trajectory is heading in the wrong direction. Another source suggested that even their remaining fans are exhausted, tired of defending the indefensible and explaining away constant controversies. The particularly bitter pill for Meghan, according to those who know her, is that she positioned herself as someone who understood the American market, who knew how to build a brand, who had the instincts that her British royal handlers lacked. She essentially argued that she could succeed where the palace had failed, that her approach to fame and media would prove superior. The opposite has proven true, and that must be extraordinarily difficult to accept. What makes this public relations disaster truly catastrophic is that it undermines everything they hope to build. Their foundation relies on public goodwill to attract donations. Their content deals rely on audience interest to justify investment. Their brand partnerships rely on positive association to deliver value. When the public has turned against you so comprehensively, every pillar of your empire starts to crumble. The Sussex story, which began as a fairy tale romance and evolved into a dramatic escape narrative, has now entered its darkest chapter. A couple who once commanded global attention and sympathy are now objects of mockery and frustration. A brand that once held genuine promise has been destroyed by the very people who built it. And a California dream that seemed so full of possibility has become a nightmare from which there appears to be no easy escape. Whether they flee Montecito or stay to face the music, Harry and Meghan are learning the hardest lesson celebrity can teach. The public gives and the public takes away, and right now they are taking away everything the Sussexes thought they had built. Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting and you will not believe what is coming next.